Hey, what's up? What's up? Joe in Vegas back with another review. Jonas Brothers. I didn't see this one coming. I had other plans last night. I had some friends in town. All of us mid to late 40s. A bunch of guys in for a birthday party / opening NFL weekend. So you can imagine the spectacle of us walking into Jonas Brothers together. But we were supposed to see Santana, and then we got to talking somewhere in the afternoon. Nobody was really jazzed about that. We all seen him, and it was fine. But I don't know. I think we were looking for something a little more fun, and I kept saying, look, guys, I've seen Jonas Brothers now 3 times in the last couple of years, and it's fucking surprising. And I somehow convinced them. We looked at ticket prices. They actually were really cheap. We ended up getting tickets. I was looking a little bit throughout the week. I didn't think we were going, but I like to check ticket prices just to educate myself always. And again, I keep seeing it. Ticketmaster, as you get closer to the gig, starts dropping tickets. Good seats for Jonas were $100 all week. You know, I tip my hat to them as artists. They must be involved in that decision. When ticket prices now are through the roof, they always seem to keep their tickets fair and reasonable, and I got to respect them for that. It looks like it was, pretty sold. It wasn't anything crazy sold out or anything, but it looked like it was a big place. And about the day before, they just slashed them to $50 for lower level tickets. So again, if you're going to see Jonas Brothers and you don't have tickets yet, wait till the day before and check Ticketmaster. I think you'll be surprised. So we ended up picking up seats, for pretty cheap, and somehow I convinced everybody to go. I know in my title I wrote non-fan, but I got to tell you, after last night's show, I think that's the last time I'm going to write non-fan because they keep winning me over, man. They're really an impressive group of guys, the group of brothers, whatever you want to call them. Let me get through the set list, and we'll talk a little bit as we go. It is a really long set list. I don't know if this is a Taylor Swift effect, but between Jonas Brothers, Beyonce, all the new tours that are coming out, they're doing, this is total 35 songs with an intermission. I think they were billing this as 5 albums in one night, so they went in. But I think what's happening, it didn't apply to them because their ticket prices are cheap, but with Taylor and Beyonce and all these major Drake and all these big tours that are coming around, they're charging so much money. I think they feel like, look, we'll charge a shitload amount of money, but we can't call it in. We really have to give these fans tons of songs, and I think that's what's happening. So bang for your buck, this show was one of the best values of a show I've seen. You got so much in this show for $50, $100 tickets. So let's get through it. Starts with, so I don't know which album is which. I guess it's titled here. Jonas Brothers. I don't know if this was their first album. I don't know if these albums are in order, so correct me if I'm wrong. They played SOS, Hold On, Good Night and Goodbye. That's Just the Way We Roll. And then they had a lot of, they stuck a lot in here. It's what I said. You got a lot of bang for your buck. They had a lot of medleys. So this next one was Still in Love with You, Australia, Hollywood, Just Friends, Games. And then they had acoustic. They did Hello Beautiful, Inseparable, and Take a Breath. They had 2 stages, by the way. They had their main stage with the little lifts going out into the audience. And then they had another stage back in the back, which they did more. I feel like they did more acoustic stuff back there. But, these guys are really good, man. They really... They've been doing it so long. I think I saw they started in 2006. They just know they're such good performers. They're so relaxed on stage. It's so natural for them. But they just know how to turn to the crowds, make sure they're switching around, and this one's going to that side and this one's going to that side, and they switch back just so everybody can get their full experience. They're really good at that. Then they did When You Look Me in the Eyes. And then they did Year 3000, which I actually knew that one. I remembered that from last time. Then I think the next one's called The Album. I think that's the name of the title. They did Summer Baby, Vacation Eyes, Sail Away, and Little Bird. And then they did, I think this is another album, a little bit longer. They did a little bit longer. And then another medley of Can't Have You, Sorry, BB Good, Shelf, Got Me Going Crazy, Video Girl, One Man Show, Pushing Me Away, and Tonight. Then they did Love Bug. I knew that song. I was dragged. Not dragged. That's the first one I was dragged to. Second one, I went willingly. But I was hanging out with someone, over the last year or so who's been, she's a big fan, and she's been taking me to shows. And the first one, I was like, eh. And then I was like, holy shit. I always said this. If you didn't listen to my first review for Jonas Brothers, I always, my whole life, thought they were a boy band. I was expecting walking in, they were in matching outfits, doing their little dances. Really not my style. Catchy, earworms, I get all that. Every time they've blown me away with their talent. I kept thinking it last night. My fucking God, these guys are so talented. And it's like, it's not fair to look at them and roll your eyes and be like, oh my God, Jonas Brothers. Yeah, right, whatever. They are just as talented as many rock bands that I see. They play a lot of instruments. They sing. They dance. They are, one of the guys I was with, we were talking about it after, and he was right. He said, growing up, we kind of looked down on them because they were little kids. But they've aged. They're adults now, singing adult songs and writing adult songs. And you have to just, at some point, just tip your hat and take the music stick out of your butt and say, these guys are fucking talented kids. They're super talented. Anyway, they did Love Bug, and then they did Burning Up, which was another big one for them. I think those two were really big songs for them. Then they had an intermission, which should give you a sense of how long this show was. They had an intermission. Probably was about 10 minutes. And then coming out of intermission, I don't think this was planned, but the comedian Matt Rife, who's probably one of the biggest online comics right now. He's on tour now. He's selling out everywhere. He's a really hot, in-demand comic. He came out. He must have been just a fan. He was probably backstage, and someone pushed him to go out, and he did about a 5 or 10 minute set. Just rip. But I'll give him credit, man. He was ripping on like the real basic, generic type of girl who's into crystals and vaping and their life sucks because Mercury's in retrograde. Just really, he went after what was probably 50% of that fucking crowd. So give him credit for that. So very funny stuff. Admission was over. Then they had the album, which I think this is their latest album because it started with Waffle House, which I think is their new song, which actually very catchy song. That's one of those songs you hear one time and you know it. You just know it. And that's a testament to their talent to be able to write a song that people hear one time, and that's it. You don't need to learn it. You don't need to hear it 10 more times. You got it. Like, I got it. That song's in my head forever. Every time I hear or say the word Waffle House again, that stupid, not stupid, but that chorus will pop into your head. Montana Sky, Miracle. Then they did Lines, Vines, and Trying Times. I guess that's another one of their albums. Fly With Me. Then they did another medley of Hey Baby, Poison Ivy, Don't Speak, Much Better, World War III, What Did I Do to Your Heart, and Paranoid. And then they did another medley of Turn Right, Before the Storm, and Black Keys. Then they came out, I think these guys had little side projects, if I remember correctly. So Nick Jonas had a big song as a solo artist with the song Jealous, so he does that, and they do that in every show, and I think that's awesome that they do that. And then the other Jonas, it's Joe, I think, the one who just got divorced from Game of Thrones girl. He was in a band called Dance, DNCE, I think that's how you pronounce it, and they did Cake by the Ocean, which is just one of those monster pop songs that everybody knows. I don't care how old or young or dumb you are. You know that song from everywhere. You don't know where you heard it, but you know it. You know every word to it. Then they did the song Walls. I never heard it. I don't know whose solo project that is or side project that is. I don't know what that is, but that song was incredible. And this is a good chance to talk about something that also really surprised me was the fucking band. That band was legit. They have a massive full band on stage with horns and keyboards and drummers and background singers. There must have been 20 people in that band at least. All incredibly energetic. You could see the talent. These were real legit bands, real legit musicians that added so much to this. And it goes back to also people looking at them and saying, oh, they're a boy band. But when you see that band that's backing them and you realize that the Jonas Brothers are all playing their own instruments and they're in the band and they're working with the band, it is impressive. It's incredible. That band was legit. Anyway, there's one part, I have video, I think on my phone, but I'll put it up with this video, where during this song, when the song got heavier and heavier, the whole band starts headbanging at the same time. And it was fuck, man. It was really fucking good. Really something to see. And then Happiness Begins. They did another medley of Comeback, Roller Coaster, Strangers Used to Be. Then they did Cool, which I think I knew that song. Then they did another medley of Trust, Every Single Time, Happy When I'm Sad, Don't Throw It Away. Then they did Love Her, Hesitate. And then they did I Believe, which I knew. They did Only Human, which I knew. I remember that from last time. They had at the residency, they had it's like a conga line going around. They didn't have that at this show. There was no general admission, which I was surprised for a show like this. They had seats going all the way up. And then they closed out the show with Sucker, which is probably their biggest hit. And then they came out and did an encore for Leave Before You Love Me. Now, I can't talk about Jonas Brothers without talking about the fans. The fans are just incredible. And I it's something, again, that goes, I don't want to compare them to Taylor Swift and Beyonce, but it's something I'm seeing from this younger generation versus my generation, where the fans are so die hard and they're so passionate. And it's like, it's all Jonas or it's all Taylor or it's all Beyonce, and everybody else can fuck off. And if you say anything negative about them, I will stab you in the throat and I will kill you in the parking lot. There's such a love and there's such a passion from their fans that it becomes infectious. It is amazing to sit in any arena, whether it's 2,000 people or 70,000 people, and a band comes on or something happens and or they play a big hit and the fans just go nuts. I say it in all my reviews. That's what this music's about. That's why we go to concerts. That's why it's worth the money. In this case, it's a bargain. $100 tickets, $50 tickets is practically free to get a show with 35 songs, pyrotechnics, full band, Matt Rife. I mean, what a bargain. What a great fucking bargain. I actually had a score in my head, and as I'm talking about this show, I might give it a higher score. One thing I did want to talk about, because the last 2 times I saw them, because I live here in Vegas, they have a residency at the Park MGM. So this was seeing their full show versus the residency. Now, as much as I keep saying 35 songs, pack it in, long show, I mean, the whole show, according to this, let's see, probably 2 hours, 2.5 hours, their shows. It's a long show, and I noticed that energy started to die out at the end. I think some of the crowd, it was getting later, and I think some of the crowd was starting to get a little tired. Versus, I'll never forget the energy in the residency. I think it's because it's a shorter show. It's all hits. But I think also because I think people fly out for the residency. Because they're on tour and hitting all these cities, there's really no need for fans to fly to Vegas. So I feel like the residency is more of like a fan club thing. They do 3 or 4 nights, and it's like people fly, the diehards fly out to Vegas for 3 nights and go to all 3 nights. And if I remember, because it's starting to come back to me, every night they play different songs. So it's really like an event. Versus on a tour, you just go to your city. If you live in, LA, I think they're playing Dodger Stadium tonight, which is fucking crazy. But if you live in LA, there's no reason to fly out to Vegas. So I don't want to say the Vegas residency is better, but I think you're going to feel that fan appreciation and the craziness that's their fans more during the residency than you would in. Also, the venue's bigger, so it's harder, but that was just something I noticed. Overall, man, what a value. I could tell you of the 4 guys that I took, and I think this is interesting for fans. 2 of them were blown away, and 1 just sat pouting his lips the whole time, pissed off that we brought him there. And I get it, but I know deep down, because I know him, if he would have just let go and just enjoyed it like the other guys did, he'd be in the same boat as me, in the same boat as them. It's a really impressive. They're very fucking impressive guys. Now, will I start listening to Jonas Brothers now, like when I'm getting ready to go to work? I don't think so, but if it comes on, or maybe once in a blue moon, I'll throw one of their songs on. It's like I said, I am going to officially take off the non-fan tag from the next time I see him when I put it in the title, because I think I have becoming a fan, definitely a fan who appreciates what they do, which is crazy. If you would have told me 5 years ago that I'd be sitting here talking about how awesome the Jonas Brothers are, I would say you're fucking crazy. But it's the truth. That's why I love going to shows. That's why I go. You could see, if you look back at my reviews, I go to a wide spectrum of things for this reason. I want to be blown away. I want to discover. One of my friends that was with me last night, he kept talking about that song, The Wall. I saw him on his phone. He was saving it on his Spotify right after he heard it at the show. Like, that's why you go see music. And as Jonas fans, you should open yourself up to other music too. And everybody should, because there's some great music. There's some shitty music out there, but there's some great, great music that you can dig from going back 50 years. So that's what it's all about. Scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 9.15. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what else to say. I highly recommend this concert. For what people are paying for stuff, go see this. You'll enjoy it. Thanks for listening, and I will see you at the next show. Bye-bye.